As we continue our coverage of Mental Health Week, I'm joined once again by mental health promoter Angele D'Alessio. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about what's being referred to as the epidemic of loneliness. So welcome, Angele, from Canadian Mental Health Association.
Hello.
All right, so this pandemic is or mental health is being referred to as sort of a second pandemic right now throughout the COVID-19 crisis. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Like I mentioned in some of my previous segments, we're hearing a lot on the news about a rise in mental health concerns, particularly anxiety and depression, PTSD as well. So we can't ignore that. They are referring to it as the secondary pandemic or the echo pandemic, as you may have heard. Even though we've been talking about social isolation, this is something that was happening prior to COVID-19. So the epidemic of loneliness was already a major issue for many Canadians.
All right, so one of the themes we know this week, we spoke about it in our last interview, was just the importance of connectivity and staying socially connected while physically distancing. So let's elaborate a little bit more on that.
Yes. So, well, again, I mentioned that, social isolation or loneliness has been a major issue. And there was before I jump into that, there was a study by Maru Matchbox that and this is just specifically to Ontario, that 49% of Ontarians are feeling anxious right now. And despite using social media and video conferencing and seeing people face to face that way, Canadians, but specifically Ontarians, are still experiencing loneliness and isolation by about 47%. And then when they looked at, positive emotions versus negative emotions, the survey revealed that 66% of people in Ontario are feeling negative emotions right now, compared to 34% are feeling positive. So you can see that, that lends itself to the data of 50% of Canadians are showing an increase in symptoms of mental health issues. And now more than ever during Mental Health Week, we want to again remind our communities that social connection has first and foremost been identified by the World Health Organization by a protective factor. So by having meaningful engagements with people and it doesn't have to necessarily be through physical touch or physical, connections. Just the fact of having meaningful connections and having them often. That's the important. I have nothing to talk about. I don't have a reason to call someone or text. It doesn't matter. Just the act of doing it will have a tremendous effect on our mental health. My mom calls me and says, well, I only have a few minutes because I don't really have any updates. And I said, Mom, that's fine. Just the fact that you're calling, I'm happy that you're calling. It makes you feel more connected with the people you love. So keep doing what you're doing. Don't forget about the people who may be a little bit more isolated, or think about the people who are not in your immediate social network. Colleagues, friends, neighbors, and reach out to them. Invite them to a Zoom party. Send them a text. Post and tag them on your social media. Whatever you can do to increase that social connection in our community, but in our own personal lives as well.
And reaching out in any form, you just alluded to just how important it is. And I always like to finish with just how important it is that if you are feeling in your own crisis situation with your own mental health, how important it is to reach out to services like CMHA.
Yes, again, we remain open as are many other services. So whether you're youth or an adult, please reach out to the many services that are available in our community. You can find, if you're looking for those services, again, you can call the Canadian Mental Health Association 613-933-5845. You can also search eMental Health as well as 211 for all of the services that are available in your community.
Excellent. On that note, Angele, I'd like to thank you very much for joining me. And of course, as Mental Health Week continues, we will be following up with one last segment this week with you. So until then, take care and thank you again.
Thank you.